So I want to pick up where I left off yesterday when I said all systems are broken, and I ended off talking about how you needed to be responsible for yourself. Can't depend on anybody else, can't depend on the government to come in and rescue you and all that good stuff, blah, blah, blah. So how do you do that? How do you, when all systems are broken, how do you become more responsible? What is one way? And the way of looking at that is by building layers into your life, into your preparedness, into the different areas of life that mean something to you. And so a layer is just, I guess, a buffer, right? That would be an easy way to explain it. A buffer to be able to, when things press up against you, you have a little bit of leeway. And so let me give some examples of what that might mean. One of the things, and when we talk about layers, I actually wrote an article about layers of home security, right? So you have your home, and that is your place where you want to make sure that you are safe, your family is safe, your kids are safe, all that good stuff. So you have layers of protection. Now, of course, you have the walls, you have the door, you have the locks. And so some of the things that you can start doing is you work out and you start, coming in as building up layers. So one thing might be that you have some motion detector lights out there. So when someone comes up to your property, the light comes on, and that just is one of those things where it might deter someone who is trying to do harm to you. They might think that someone is monitoring it. They might think that it's one of those ring lights, right? That as soon as it comes on, it starts recording. And so those are cheap and easy to buy. And so like a motion light, motion detector light. So that would be a layer. Another layer might be that you put in bushes around your windows so that people can't easily climb into your windows, right? They would think twice about doing that. They would get all cut up. It wouldn't be, or they would desire to go somewhere else, right? And that's the whole idea of this, is that they would go somewhere else. Another thing that you might do is you might put in another door, like a screen door, and really that's not a lot of protection, but maybe a glass door, another kind of thing there. Back in the day when I was a kid, like my grandmother had burglar bars, back then, and there's still people that have burglar bars. And so that would be another layer of protection. Maybe your home security system, if you have one of those, that would be another layer. And so maybe you look at your locks and you put in a more formidable lock and you install that into your doors, your front doors, your back doors. Maybe you put in some really long screws into your, to your door jambs and stuff like that, so that if someone tried to kick it in, that it wouldn't be this, this half inch or, 1 inch screw kind of holding everything together. So all these things play into part, right? So you start to build layers in things that are important, things that can, if things started going south, they could really do you in. So for instance, building layers into your, into your health, right? So you can just blast away and start doing life and eat any way you want, but maybe you start building layers into your health, and you start doing things like, I'm going to eat right, I'm going to eat more purposeful, I'm going to be careful about what I put inside of my body, be careful what kind of drugs you do. I know someone just recently who was given stuff by the doctor and they weren't feeling very good. They weren't doing, the medicine wasn't doing what it was supposed to, and they kept just saying, the doctor kept saying, just keep taking it, it'll kick in, and it never kicked in, and all these other things. They got off that medicine and found something that was more organic, something that was some vitamins and minerals that would help, and all this. There was just complete turnaround, right? So being purposeful about that, not just allowing these things just to kind of go on and stuff like that. So maybe in your health, you're building layers as you start taking more care of your, you start doing cardio. Maybe you enroll in some martial art classes or whatever for the fact of self-defense, but also for the health aspect of it as well. So, your health, maybe you start building layers into your food. I think that's a big deal. Right now, if what I'm reading about things, all the flooding and all the things that have happened up north and in the Midwest and stuff, and there is going to be there was a lot of damage to farmland, and a lot of cattle were killed, and so things that I'm reading, I don't see it out there in the news a lot, but things that I'm reading and things that are popping up, I'm seeing that food prices might be going up, that that meat might be going up. And so if that's the case, people that are living paycheck to paycheck right now might have a little struggle getting, making sure that all their needs are met, at least with their food from, week to week or for the whole month. And so that's where food comes in, and having a food pantry and building that up and being purposeful. Maybe you start to make a menu. I mean, that would be, if you made a menu and you were purposeful about being able to, like, hey, this meal, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to take a little portion of this, and you were a little bit more purposeful, your money would stretch. It is, I'm telling you, it is a fact that if you go to the store every single day to buy something for dinner, then you're going to waste more money than if you planned out a menu and you were more purposeful, right? So maybe that is a layer that you start to build in water storage. And we always talk about poop hitting the fan type scenarios, but the other, not too long ago, I was going to say the other day, it seems like the other day, but it was longer than that actually. So I was outside working in the yard. My hands were all dirty, and I didn't realize that they had cut off, they were working on the main water lines out in the front of the neighborhood. And so when they did that, of course, all the water lines eventually ran dry. So the kids flushed the toilet a couple of times while I was outside. Maybe they washed their hands, whatever. So by the time I got inside to wash my hands, there wasn't any water left in the lines. So I'm like, okay, my hands are dirty. I don't know how much longer they're going to. And it wasn't very long before they turned the water back on. It wasn't like days or anything like that. It was a couple of hours. But I had water that I could go grab, and I could wash my hands, and I didn't have to worry about that, right? And so building that layer in, I was glad to have that. Now, are there other things I could have done? Yeah, I could have used a baby wipe. I could have used, some hand sanitizer at least to get some stuff off, right? I mean, I could have done that kind of stuff, but I had water. I was able to wash my hands with no problem because I had that water storage, in place already. Financial, right? This is the big one, and I think we're going to be really seeing this here in the future, and I have been on a tear about this, and I hope that people are really truly listening, is that we need to make sure that we have layers in our finances. If you are in a job that's good and you are making good money, that is great, but is it possible that that job might not always be there? And so those of us who might be living paycheck to paycheck or could use an extra $20, $50, one of the things, the easy things to do is to start doing something that you love for money. And I'm not talking about going out and just doing a side hustle, and there's podcasts on that. There's tons of blog posts on that, on creating a side hustle. And if you want to go that route, right? But you can find something that you love and you can do that and make money at it as well. So I know people who are selling jewelry online. I know a lady who made bows, and she would go to the school and she would sell them during lunch and during when there was a big parent night or day or whatever, and she would make tons of money and give the school a percentage. I mean, she made a lot of money doing this, right? There's all different kinds of things that you can do if you're a craftsman and making things in your garage and selling them, there's so many things that you can do out there to earn a little bit of money so that you can build these layers. So I always say, what would you do with an extra $50 or $100 a month, right? How would that change your financial situation? You could pay down debt, you can start an emergency fund, you can add to your preparedness. And so there you go. And that's just building layers in there. Does that mean you give up some stuff? Yeah. You give up maybe sitting in front of the television and watching all the stupid television shows that aren't really doing anything for you. It's amazing how much time we waste in front of the television when we could be doing something of value and being productive. So many other things I could talk about: building layers in your knowledge, learning, reading books, reading blog posts, listening to podcasts. One of the things that I love to do, and of course, these couple of days here when I've been recording these videos. Of course, I haven't been doing it, but I listen to podcasts all the time. You know, when I'm getting ready, when I'm brushing my teeth, even when I'm in the shower, I can listen to a podcast that encourages me, that inspires me, that helps me understand something, right? That I learn something new. And that is so powerful. So that could be wasted time there just brushing my teeth and all that good stuff, getting ready. Or I can use it a little bit more productively by listening to a podcast or even listening to a video while I'm getting ready, right? Not watching it, but listening to it. So anyway, guys, I hope that is encouraging, and I'm going to encourage you even more so to start looking at your life and the different things like, hey, what would happen if you lost your job? What would happen if food prices just jumped 25%? Would that wreck your budget? What would happen if this happened, that happened? I mean, start looking at those types of things, and how can you build layers into your home, into your life, so that when things happen, it's a little road bump instead of a big ditch that you wind up falling into. All right, guys, that's it for today. God bless. Have a good one.